Hey, 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 happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. It is a Monday, July 18th. 2022. This is live stream 808. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And we'll normally take a first look at a game, or tonight, it is one of those exceptions. I am actually doing a live review. That's right. I'll be sharing my thoughts about the index card role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment and Runehammer Games. Yes. So that is what's on the agenda. I do want to point out, of course, if you're not familiar with the show, we tackled the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are tuning in because you want to see the review for ICRPG, then kick back, put your feet up, relax. Sure, you had a hard day. Take a load off. And it'll probably be around 30 to 35 minutes before we jump on into that. If you happen to be watching after this stream ends, usually within about 30 minutes or so of the end of the stream, I will have timestamps. So you can jump past the tabletop gaming news if you would like. Although I've got some cool stuff we're going to be taking a peek at and I'll be talking about tonight. Don't forget, when you're not watching videos here on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And because it is a live stream, that means there is chat available as well. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Should also point out, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. So Mr. Eddie T was first out the gate, commenting before the stream even started. That's cheating. The Madman, yes, our Motor City Madman is with us tonight as well. And Coco B, David Weisberger, Sarah D's with us. Testy Trekkie is hanging out in chat as well. So before we jump into the news, I do want to give you a quick update on how things are going with my dad. So he moved out of the ICU. So that was yesterday. They kept him a couple of days longer because he had like a little bit of an infection, which of course was terrifying my dad. So what was it? Friday? It was either Thursday or Friday. All the times I'm at the hospital, it's just one long day. But hey, at least this time around, it wasn't me in the hospital. I want to say it was Thursday. He said he didn't feel too well, and he thought he may have had I think he was thinking he had possibly had a urinary infection. And when he had the heart attack and went in, and we thought, oh, maybe it's that kind of acting up. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And he felt horrible one day. I want to say it was the Thursday. And the thing is, my stepmom had bypass surgery, got out of the ICU. She was going over to rehab. This is like 12 years ago. And had an infection, went right back to the hospital, and passed like 48 hours later. So, of course, this possibility of an infection freaked my dad out. Thankfully, it wasn't anything major. They knocked it out. His white blood cells are normal. And he's looking good. He's looking more and more like my dad, acting like my dad, for better or worse, I guess. So just want to give everybody the heads up. And as always, thank you so much for all those kind thoughts and prayers you've been sending my family's way. It is very appreciated. And it worked. But at least, knock on wood so far, everything's good. Okay, so who else? No, I thought I saw somebody pop in. I guess we're okay. So let's move on to the news, because arriving from Renegade Game Studios later this year, actually it's also from Garfield Games, is Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Here's what I know. Wayfarers of the South Tigris is set during the height of the Abbasid Caliphate, circa 820 AD. As brave explorers, cartographers, and astronomers, players set off from Baghdad to map the surrounding land, waterways, and heavens above. Players must carefully manage their caravan of workers and equipment while reporting back regularly to journal their findings at the House of Wisdom. Will you succeed in impressing the Caliph, or lose your way and succumb to the wilderness? The aim of Wayfarers of the South Tigris is to be the player with the most victory points at the game's end. Points are primarily gained by mapping land, water, and sky. Players can also gain points from upgrading their caravans, by gaining inspiration from nobles, and by influencing the 3 guilds of science, trade, and exploration. As they make discoveries, players will want to quickly journal their progress. The game ends once one player's marker has reached the far right column of the journal track. Wayfarers of the South Tigris is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $60 when it arrives in Q4. So, of course, we've got the usual artwork that we see in a lot of the Garfield Games releases that come out here in the U.S., published by Renegade Game Studios. And I don't necessarily think this is designed by Shem Phillips, but I think he's a co-designer on this. So, could be very interesting. Kind of cool. There is the complete setup for a 4-player game that you're looking at right there. So, it looks like there's a little bit of heft to this as well. Omanal has joined us in chat, saying that he's glad my dad's improving. Yes, thank you very much. 245 Trioxin is with us as well. Badman's pointing out very good news about my dad, as well as there are far too many games that he wants to buy or back on Kickstarter. If only he could win the lottery. Yeah, I wish we all could do that, right? But then if we all won, then everybody would have money, and then inflation would be insane, and everybody just raise all our prices. A Rules Light single evening RPG is up for crowdfunding from Granite Glyph Publishing Company. I've got the scoop on Helgard, Curse of Cana. Helgard, Curse of Cana is a tabletop role-playing game inspired by Diablo, Castlevania, Call of Cthulhu, and other dark, fantastic worlds. The game focuses on the land of Cana, a continent buried in the long shadow of an infernal war that twisted the landscape and warped the hearts of its people. Villages scrape by on the edges of barren wilderness, ignorant of the supernatural evil that walks the streets. Ancient apocrypha ripped from the tongues of tortured saints portend that hell will wage a new war on humanity from the shadows. But against the specter of annihilation stand the few damned souls with the power and the will to save this tragic world from itself. Obviously, this is aimed at small children. Helgard blends the mounting suspense of horrific investigation with the thrill of anime-inspired combat and brings them together in a unique experience approachable by board gamers and tabletop role-playing gamers. And roll off the tongue there. Let's just say TTRPG veterans alike. There is a short Kickstarter video, about 2 minutes long. So let's take a peek.
And so it is said that there will come a second cataclysm. It starts not with a plague of fire, but a seed of malice. Helgard is a rules-light, one-night role-playing game. Of horrific investigation and deadly combat, made in collaboration with tabletop industry veterans. Adventure in Cana, an accursed land of gothic infernal fantasy, where hell's influence haunts ruined citadels and drives good men to wickedness. Defending the innocent are the Helgard, demon hunters descended from 5 ancient bloodlines, sworn to protect mortal kind. Risk life and limb in a series of 5 one-night adventures designed to challenge both new and experienced players alike. Heed the call. Back now on Kickstarter.
The Kickstarter for Helgard, Curse of Cana is just on the cusp of funding. And you can reserve a copy of the digital edition for a $20 pledge or grab the hardcover for a $40 pledge. There are a lot of different pledge levels. There's minis and dice and things like that. But those are your 2 main pledges. And you can pledge your support through August 2nd with an expected delivery in early to mid 2023. Each of the releases or like pledge levels seem to have a little bit different expected delivery dates on them. Moving right along, we're going back-to-back Kickstarter news items. Outland Entertainment's Viking vs. Comics series is coming to the world of role-playing. And here's news about When the Wolf Comes. When the Wolf Comes is a game of storytelling, heroism, and epic struggle set during a reimagined Norse end of days and powered by Robert J. Schwab's Shadow of the Demon Lord system. A complete tabletop role-playing game in one approximately 250-page, 8.5 by 11-inch hardcover book. When the Wolf Comes provides everything you need to create and play characters, form warbands in pursuit of fame and plunder, and tell sci-fi sagas with your friends. Book also gives game masters all the tools they need to create adventures. A bestiary full of deadly creatures, a detailed history of the New Heimar, I think it might be New Heimar, and extensive advice to help run the game. When the Wolf Comes is set in a parallel timeline where the Norse rule seas and stars with restless fleets, and Christianity has been put to the Viking sword. But there are more things in Himmen and Jord than even the wise dream of. Shaken to her roots, Yggdrasil sends forth her Alfar, must be like an avatar, to cauterize the wound. On Jotunheim, the thralls rise in fresh rebellion, twisting the artifice of Norns to help them escape their bondage. Loud too roar the assembly of Vergar, their machine blockades as impenetrable as a door of stone. In this Viking verse, the storied heroes of mankind are pawns in a cosmic game, paying the price for the terrible mistakes of petty gods. Will you attempt to forestall the ruination of man and the doom of the Aesir, or choose to hasten it and claim their mantle? Dun, dun, dun. There is a short Kickstarter video. It's going to give you a little more detail about this. It's got some cool music, that's for sure. So let's give it a peek. The Kickstarter project for When the Wolf Comes is already just over 200% funded, and you can reserve a copy of the role-playing game digitally for a $20 pledge. You can also grab the hardcover for a $36 pledge through August 11th, with an expected delivery next January. I got to mention, this artwork has this real Jack Kirby vibe to it. Almost, especially the image you're seeing there, that really screams Kirby-esque. King Kirby himself, of course, who's no longer with us, but still looks like maybe Mobius and Jack Kirby are a real inspiration to this art style. Could be kind of interesting. And Zero Theory's with us in chat. Batman says, oh man, Vikings. An ancestor of mine was a Viking chieftain that raided Normandy, France in the year 630. And Madman loves the mythology. Very cool. I have no clue about my genealogy outside of, my grandfathers and my grandmothers. That's about where it ends. Although I do remember my grandmother on my mom's side talking a little bit about her grandmother. So, but I don't know how to trace that trait. Well, I know how to trace it. I just haven't. All right, moving right along. There is a Fading Suns 4th edition bundle of holding that's going on right now. Here's the deets on the deal. Adventurer, this all-new Fading Suns 4E bundle presents the 2021 4th edition of Fading Suns. Is that a little redundant? Just said Fading Suns 4E and 4th edition of Fading Suns. This is the far future science fantasy tabletop role-playing game from Ulysses Spiele. This offer ties into Ulysses Spiele's new Fading Suns Lost Worlds Kickstarter campaign, which is currently in progress. Lost Worlds takes us beyond the borders to worlds cut off long ago from the Empire, the solace of the Universal Church. Gear up and set off to rediscover these mysterious planets. It is the dawn of the 6th millennium, and the skies are darkening, for the suns themselves are fading. Humanity's greatest civilization has fallen, bringing a dark age to the known worlds. The Universal Church of the Celestial Sun pursues cosmic intrigues against the noble houses and the Reeves Guild. But even as the stars fade to cinders and the sinful await final judgment, a leader has arisen. Emperor Alexius has sworn to unite the worlds again under one banner to ignite hope once more. This new offer gives you everything you need for a complete campaign of tumultuous drama across the known worlds. For just $14.95, you get all 4 titles in the core collection with a retail value of $57.50 as DRM-free PDFs, including all 3 complete Fading Suns 4 core rulebooks, the Universe Book, Character Book, and Game Master Book, and the useful play kit with pre-generated characters, reference charts, maps, and play aids. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $26.85, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 5 more supplements worth an additional $63, including the Faction Book, Intrigues and Escapades, and 3 Imperial dossiers, House Hawkwood, Reeves Guild, and Earth Orthodox. These savings run through July 27th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this Fading Suns 4 offers pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. Yes. You may recall it was not that long ago we took a peek at all of these books. Well, not all of, 5 of them plus the play kit we dug on into. Looked pretty cool. I got to be honest, I have not gotten a chance to dive on in to Fading Suns 4E. I did have somebody who was going to be reviewing it, and then they dropped out of reviewing for me. So, but that is a pretty good deal to grab nearly everything that's out there for the 4th edition of Fading Suns. So Zero Theory says, that's the only way I like my drama, tumultuous. Flaming Heron's with us. Sweet. Very good to see Flaming Heron. All 4 of our chat moderators are hanging out, and they're watching everything you do. Not really. My final news piece, there is a new adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics. It arrived to celebrate Dungeon Crawl Classics Day, or DCC Day, 2022, which off the top of my head, I believe was Saturday. This is from Goodman Games, and here's the skinny on Chanters in the Dark. a level 1 adventure for DCC RPG. The subterranean river thunders into the darkness, and there, before it plunges into the abyss, the ship crashes onto the rocks. Stranded on the dark, stony beach, the player characters must deal with beastmen, strange growths, hopefully not on their bodies, and the caretaker if they wish to escape. Deep below earth, the chanters in the dark plot against the surface world. The player characters must uncover their mysteries if they ever wish to see the sun again. The 22-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $6. Ka-ching! Always like to see new Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures. And I've got to say, they've been pretty steady recently. There's good amount of new stuff coming out, especially if you add in the Dying Earth role-playing game that they've got, that companion piece, as well as Lankmar. So lots of good stuff from Goodman Games. I'm going to see if I can actually talk with them at Gen Con. So I still have the contact. They're relatively new PR person. And I'm going to touch base, see if I can set something up. Because I'd like to do an interview with Goodman. I think it'd be pretty fun. All right, that is it for tonight's news. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, be sure to click on one of our banner ads over at thegaminggang.com. That'll take you there. And if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. And right now, for the next 2 weeks, it is the Christmas in July sale. So I think it's 13 days, maybe. And it is one of the best sales that you will find annually over on DriveThruRPG. It's this and the Black Friday tend to be the best deals that you will find on almost everything at the DriveThruRPG site. I don't know if they're doing that over on DM's Guild or Storyteller's Vault or anything like that. I have not taken a peek. As you know, I have been rather busy. So there is that. And of course, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you feel thegaminggang.com is a valuable resource, hell, if you like what we do, you can always visit paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And most recently, the Madman kicked in a bit of a donation to help keep the Gaming Gang around. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All righty. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to share my review of the Index Card Role-Playing Game Master Edition in a few moments. But a couple of things I do want to mention. First off, time is running out for you to jump on in to win this copy of the alternate art edition of Dungeons & Dragons Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. So you've got until noon tomorrow, which is when I am going to shoot my review of the book. So I will announce the winner during that video. So definitely get into the running. Check out my preview video, the first look page through, which was a special live video. I streamed that last Thursday. It had been the first time in a long time that I had streamed something on a Thursday night. So there you've got that. So, and I should point out, I will ship that book anywhere in the world. well, that I can legally send it. So if you're not in, the North America or something like that, don't let. And I did a quick unboxing and first look at the Dungeons and Dragons campaign case creatures, which I posted yesterday. And I got to be honest, I am shocked by how many people are checking that video out. That video is actually pulling in more viewers than the first look at Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. I knew I was going to screw that up. I was like, I knew when I said it the first time and I got it right. I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe I didn't mess that up for some reason. Anyway, but yeah, I think last I looked, I think it had pulled in like 800 views. And the response is relatively negative. So I'm probably not going to review it. I mean, we saw what it is if you've already checked out the video. So, I mean, what can I tell you, that you weren't already seeing right there in the video? Madman says they are always happy to support the gaming gang. Can't think of a better resource for gaming news and reviews. Can't get the honesty in reviews that he can get here. Much appreciated. Well, much appreciated as well. So Flaming Heron says Jeff doesn't take his cap off for just anyone. No, I don't. And of course, I do have hair. People think I'm bald. I am not. I am not bald. Coco B says Dungeon Crawl Classics is a blast. They're going to introduce their kid and niece to the system this month. Gong farmers and beekeepers, oh my, are going to die. Don't forget, make sure you got one of those little halfling luck batteries. Tessie Trekkie says Onyx Path has almost all their Chronicles of Darkness 2nd edition books on drive-thru at 90% off. Yes. Yes. Man says the hair grew back. Yes, it did. I just buzzed it yesterday, actually, because, of course, I'm going to San Diego for Comic-Con, thus the Padres cap I'm wearing today. So there will not be any other episodes of The Dispatch this week because we're pretty sure we're flying out Wednesday morning, but we're flying buddy passes, or at least I am. So it's all really going to depend on what the loads look like. So far, so good. I think last I heard, there are about 19 open seats. But I have been in situations where there were 30 open seats the day before, and I was trying to fly out of someplace on a pass, and those 30 seats evaporated in moments. So anyway, I got some stuff hooked up for Comic-Con. I am very surprised. I am going to take part in the press roundtables for the Orville New Horizons. I was like, well, I'm also going to be in a roundtable for the latest Warner Brothers DC animated movie, Green Lantern, Beware My Power. We got some other stuff too. I'm talking to Funko and Loungefly and Mondo, because Loungefly and Mondo were recently acquired by Funko. So I've got that set up. I'm checking out the Samsung Gaming Hub, where, as far as I understand, they are smart TVs where you can play Xbox games without an Xbox. So I'm going to find out more about that. We got a lot of stuff cooking, a lot of things going on. So 245 Trioxin says, took them a couple of episodes, but they're really loving the new season of The Orville. One thing you'll notice, and it's actually something, because I believe we're going to also talk to some producers, and I'm going to ask as far as the budget for special effects. You can really tell now that Disney's picking up the tab, the special effects, not that they were bad when the Orville was on Fox, they were what you'd expect from network TV. They were fine. They were okay, but you could tell. Plus, I also noticed that this season, I think I'm 2 episodes back. I'm not up to date. I'm going to catch up, but also noticed not being played as much for laughs, which is cool with me. So that's something else I'm also going to discuss. I don't believe Seth MacFarlane is going to be there, but the rest of the cast and producers are. So that'll be very cool. So I'm doing my best to kind of be ahead of the game with my graphics and things like that, because I'm going to bring my laptop with. Please do not get damaged. It's going in my rolling bag. It's not getting checked, that's for sure. And because I'm going to try to get content out while I'm at Comic-Con. I'm going to do the same thing with Gen Con as well, because it's kind of a drag to get home from the convention knowing that you've got like 15 videos you have to put together in that. Plus, it's just cooler releasing stuff while the convention is going on. Also, should point out, if you've never been to Comic-Con, there's always exclusives. The bigger conventions have exclusives from different companies. So Hasbro, Mattel, Funko, all have these exclusives that you can only get at the convention. And a lot of the exclusives at Comic-Con, you actually have to get into a raffle and get picked to be able to go and buy the exclusives. And one of the big deals is always Funko. And we have never been selected to get stuff from Funko. We've gotten Hasbro, we've gotten other stuff, never Funko until now. So I am, I got picked for Saturday morning. So I am going to pick me up some San Diego Comic-Con Funko exclusives. Probably put some of those out on eBay. But there's some fun stuff, some pretty cool stuff. So don't be shocked when I'm back. Hopefully I'll have a show on Monday. So a week from today, if I'm able to fly out when I'm hoping to fly out. So it's not unusual for me to be stuck until Monday in San Diego to get out on a pass. Flaming Heron says, Jeff getting some swag. Well, it's not swag. I got to buy it. So I don't know how much swag we're going to see at this Comic-Con, because companies have lost some money. Other companies have done fantastic. Some companies not so much. And there are some big names who, as far as I understand, are not going to be there. As an example, DC Comics. They're always there. They're not going to be there. And Dark Horse, another relatively major comic publisher, they won't be there. But here the funny thing is, I read an article talking about, companies that were going to drop out. They weren't going to be there this year. And in the article, basically it was, well, they'll just be replaced by somebody else. That's it. So, because there are people lining up to get exhibitor space and to do the various different activations that are in all the different locations around the convention hall. So we've been invited to a Nat Geo party, which when they had a party 2-3 years ago for Mars, which unfortunately did not get a third season. That was our favorite party. It was great. Same place. They're doing it at the same hotel. So sweet. So we got invited. So I RSVP'd for the gang. Madman says, oh my God, Funko has made a few bucks from him. Even has seasonal pops that he puts out. David points out, watch my health. Oh yeah, I have already explained to people we are not running through airports. We are not racing because somebody's got to screw around and I'm going to be late to interviews or the press panels or round tables. I'm like, ain't happening. I am not racing all over the place. And everybody understands that. So, should be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. All right, so I am going to be moving on into my review in just a couple of moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
As soon as we can, let's flick our Vicks.
That's all you ever want to do, but it's against the rules. And anyway, I'm hungry.
Now that you mention it, something to munch on will go great with the flick.
Just bring plenty of popcorn, soft drinks, and candy. Yum.
Are you sure that'll last you through the entire flick?
Maybe not. So order large size of everything and get doubles.
Oh, gosh.
It's okay. The intermission's coming up. You won't miss a thing.
It's intermission time, folks, and that means it's time for a tasty snack. How about a stroll over to the refreshment counter for a delicious bite to eat? You don't have to worry about missing any part of the show because our announcer will let you know 3 minutes before the show starts again. See you over at the refreshment counter.
Care for a cup of Wilkins coffee?
No, I don't like coffee.
This has been a public service announcement.
Precious, and the soda's delicious. Try some today. We are the Intermission Quartet. Some quartet. We sell refreshments at the Met. At the Met? So if you should want to get delicious ice cream, soft drink, popcorn, candy. Candy, I like candy. It tastes just dandy and comes in handy when I fight the bull. A popcorn's puffy, so crisp and fluffy. We all eat popcorn until we're full. Oh, how I love the soft drinks here. They taste as good as the lager beer. And now our operetta ends. We'll have an intermission, friends.
You didn't honestly think Wonkins was going to survive 2 consecutive episodes of the Dispatch, did you? No. All right. So tonight, I am going to share my review and do a little bit of a page through for the index card role-playing game Master Edition from Modiphius Entertainment and Runehammer Games. It's written by Hankerin Fornale with artwork provided by Brandish Gellum or Gilhelm. The 400-page hardcover is available for $39.99. You can also grab a special softcore edition and PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $16.50. It is I guess it's a lower quality print run with the soft cover, but the PDF and the soft cover for $16.50, that is pretty sweet as far as that deal. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Index Card RPG Master Edition. So before I jump on in, do want to mention the fine folks over at Modiphius Entertainment were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But of course, as always, no one with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share my review with you. And these days, it's important that you know that. I am also going to stay picture in picture up here. So I'll be cutting off a little bit of the upper portion of the left side of the book as we take a peek through. So let's dive on in. So I've already done a complete first look page through. So we're not going to look at as much in the book as I did with that, but I am going to talk about a few things that I really like about this, who I think it's going to be for, who's going to be best served by this book as well. One of the first things I want to point out, you can really tell the author loves running role-playing games. The joy just comes out through the writing. Something that I've also noticed with Castles and Crusades, you can really tell the folks involved with that love role-playing games, and same thing right here. And I really appreciate that. This is a treasure trove of ideas for game masters of any type. So it doesn't matter if you're running D&D, Call of Cthulhu, Traveler, what have you. There's a lot in here that you can use and just pick and choose and incorporate into the games you already run. If you find, like myself, that the actual rules themselves are a little too light for my personal taste. So essentially, this is really, really light. So we talk about different kinds of turns. So you've got turns where you're taking an action. You've got turns where you're moving and taking an action. And then you also have the ability to move far. So as far as distance, we're not looking at, so many feet or so many yards or anything like that. We have near, far, and so on. Christopher Rush is joining us in chat. Kathy Evans is also popping on in, saying that their phone was being fussy. So we get different kinds of actions. So we've got simple actions, don't have to roll any dice. I'm turning a page of this book. I don't need to roll dice, right? We've got checks where you're going to have a difficulty number that you have to meet or exceed to succeed. And then we've also got attempts where you have effort. So the target number, the core target number is 12. And everything that's taking place in that situation, in that room of the dungeon, in that starship, all are going to have a difficulty number. So the players will understand the challenge, the stakes, I guess I'll say, when you hit them with a higher difficulty number. But everything that they do is going to be that difficulty number plus or minus 3. So you can make whatever their action's going to be easy and subtracting 3 from the difficulty number, or you can make it hard by adding 3. So we've got different kinds of effort. Did I just jump past the... No, I didn't think so. I was gonna say, I didn't jump past the attributes section, rolling up a character. So you're going to roll a 20-sided die, and you're going to be looking to meet or beat that difficulty number. And of course, you're going to have modifiers to your die roll. So if you are trying to do something complex or trying to do something that's going to take time, or you're attacking, you're going to actually roll your D20, and then you're going to roll another die for effort. So basic effort, like if you're using your hands, fighting barehanded, is a 4-sided die. If you're using weapons or tools, you're going to add a 6-sided die for damage or the effort. And I'll talk about why you're tracking that. If you use a gun, it's a D8. If you're using magic, it is a D10. And if you roll a critical, if you roll a 20, you roll your effort, and you will also add a D12 to that as well. So we have hearts and effort. They're effectively the same thing. Hearts are like hit points. Hearts are damage. So if you were trying to break down a door and the door had 1 heart, you're essentially needing to do 10 points of damage, which of course comes from your effort dice. So if you were trying to pick a lock, say, and the lock's difficulty was a heart, you need to get 10 points from your effort in order to succeed. So it might take multiple rounds of attempting to pick that lock. So that's how that boils down. So we've got our distance, close, near, far. That's it. All you got to worry about. Time is relatively simple as well. Death and healing, super simple. So what happens is if you reach 0 hit points, you roll a D4. And that's how many rounds you've got for somebody to stabilize you, or you're done for. You're gone. Taking a dirt nap. Simple as that. And for somebody to stabilize you, they have to, if I remember right off the top of my head, it's either intelligence or wisdom, either or, that they have to roll and succeed on. Solomon Kane has joined us. Says the things in ICRPG are simple but genius. The turn-by seating arrangement is great. Yes, I was going to mention that. I hate the crisscross of standard initiative systems. So what you do is, the way everybody's seated around the table, that is your order, your player order. That's your initiative order, is how that is set up. All right. So we have 5 different game settings that are touched upon in this Master Edition. The ones that take up the most page space is fantasy and science fiction. So we've got different character sheets for each. So we've got our core stats, so the usual core stats: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And basically all you're doing is you're buying your bonus. So you can invest points into what is your bonus going to be. So you have like armor class in other role-playing games. Here you've got defense. Same thing. You've got to simply meet or beat the defense value of your target. And there you go. You're going to do damage. Clint Gibson's with us. Whoa, a dispatch. I missed so much, I'll have to rewatch. Good to see you, Clint. Primo's with us. Primo says, Hankerin is a heck of an artist. It's incredible. Yes, he's done all of this. And of course, Hankerin for an Ale is a pen name, obviously enough. So, big aspects of your character is going to be their loot, because loot gives them bonuses, and also their various different powers that they'll get. So kind of give you an example here. This is the fantasy. Alfheim is the setting, and it just basically telling you, okay, so if you're playing humans, you're automatically going to get a +1 intelligence, +1 charisma, and then you choose, if you want to, you can come up with your own as well. These are your motivations, depending on your class. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go with the warrior. You get to choose a starting ability. Slayer, if attacking an enemy you've already harmed, do ultimate damage. That's at D12. Pit fighter, when you take damage, add the amount of the last hit against you to the next hit you make. So these abilities, pretty powerful stuff. So you're not sitting there tracking experience points or anything like that. You will have milestones where your players are able to choose more feats, more powers that they can utilize. We've got our various different spells. So right here in the player's guide, the spell information is very, very concise. So we've only got a sentence or two for each spell. You'll see more detail in the Game Master section, but not a ton. It's not crazy. So a very OSR presentation for spells here as well. So we're going to get both the fantasy as well as the science fiction kind of templates for the various different classes. It's super easy for you to craft your own character and come up with new classes and things like that, and come up with new abilities, new starting loot. So we moved into GM's guide. So the player facing info is 75 pages. And depending on if you're playing fantasy or science fiction, your page count's even lower than that. And the rules are so simple to pick up. I've pretty much explained everything I need to, and you have an idea how this game runs. It's really, really wild. So the GM's guide is one of those sections where you can, this is where the love of role-playing comes through. Just in the different tips, the various different examples, some guides. So for an example here, it's talking about, this is more geared towards fantasy, but do the do. Every encounter you create needs 3 things: danger, energy, and wonder. Don't underestimate these simple terms and only settle for the very best. And then it kind of goes through the details about doing the do. And I especially liked the bit of discussion about wonder, because that is where a lot of game masters really stumble. The reason we're playing a role-playing game is because, number one, we want to be entertained, but we also want to use our imaginations. And unfortunately, a lot of game masters out there just kind of, oh, okay, well, this is this, this is that, this is this, this is that. I'm reading it from the latest Dungeons and Dragons adventure book. This is what it's telling me to do, have you roll these dice, as opposed to really setting the scene. And I know a lot of people love their miniatures and terrain and all these other things, but myself personally, I talk about it all the time, that I am a theater of the mind game master, where I like to set the scene with my players, and a lot of times with my NPCs and the voices and little quick descriptions of the NPCs as well. So got all of this GM's guide goodness. We get a bit of a bestiary. And so here we'll see the blind horror has 2 hearts. So effectively, it's got 20 hit points. And it's got its special thing is a plus, kind of attribute is +5 dexterity. Then we've got what makes this different than anything else. What's special about this monster? And it shows you, okay, well, spiked tail, fire ray, wisdom spell, heal with flames. So it can heal itself. Gather power. Blind horror can use an action to gather its power, doubling any effort. Remember, effort is damage in combat. Can double its damage effectively on its next turn. So there you have. Okay, so what is going to set this out from anything else? Banshee, boar worm. So we've got a good number of monsters, a little bit of artwork. Where index card role-playing game gets its title is that there's so many things you can do with an index card. You could easily have an index card as your player sheet, your character sheet. You can use index cards, such as with this artwork here, to show monsters, loot. You can use index cards for the locations. So if you're doing a dungeon crawl, you can have each of the rooms on an index card, just line them all up, put that map together as you go. The rules themselves, to be honest, you could fit them on an index card. So here we get into more of the details. This is more a gazetteer for the different settings that are available. So the fantasy, Alfheim, Warp Shell is the science fiction. We've also got Ghost Mountain, which is kind of a horror milieu, but it's also kind of wild, weird west-ish, or Appalachian, maybe. Vigilante City is superheroes. And Blood and Snow is kind of along the lines of prehistoric. So it's a prehistoric setting. So 245 Trioxin said, plus intelligence for humans. That hasn't been his experience. Jesus Nava's with us. Hiya, Jesus. All right. So Coco B says they've got the soft cover version. Just order the hardcover off Amazon because, free shipping. And giving the soft cover to their nephew. So Coco says that ICRPG is their go-to for a rules light system. I can easily see that. I can very, very easily see that. Now we actually do get a nice chunk of page count devoted to Magic. Like I said, we were just looking at there's cool background. There's plenty in here for you to mine if you wanted to use these settings right out of the book. So we get a breakdown of Magic. We get a bit more detail about the spells. Not a ton of detail, but a little more detail like we're used to seeing, like what's the target, Is it yourself? Do you have to touch somebody? Is it ranged? And then we get a bunch of different tables for you to utilize, from locations to origins. We get some random tables if you're looking to select some monsters. Cursed loot. Got regular loot too. Ancient loot. Kind of walk through on how to create your own monsters. And it's a list of all the various different traits that they've got, their abilities. And then, of course, magic loot. And we get a character sheet, which, to be honest, I'd get a PDF and print that out for the character sheet, because this is a pretty small character sheet. Once again, you could probably fit a lot of this on an index card. Yes. All right. So that is a peek at the Index Card RPG Master Edition, as well as some of my thoughts. Let's swing on over to the other camera, and I will provide some final thoughts as well as a review score. First, I'm going to wet the old whistle. On a side note, Clint mentions that they're a fan of the Monster Hunter Incorporated books, and the game is on Kickstarter. Wondering if I'm going to be covering it. I am not. I have gotten some news about it. No more shows for the rest of the week. I'll be in San Diego. So maybe when I get back, I'm not sure when it started, but maybe if I get back, I'll take a peek. So, and maybe share the news and that. I try not to share Kickstarter stuff from companies that haven't reached out and asked me to share news. Usually I don't just throw a Kickstarter out there unless it's something that has really caught my eye. All right, anyway. So Index Card RPG is jam-packed with gold nuggets for you to mine for your favorite tabletop role-playing game. Or, of course, you can certainly use the Rules Light system that's included in ICRPG. I like the Rules Light system. Some ways it's a little too light for my taste in some respects. One, I'm not a huge fan, and I understand why it's there. So I'm not knocking the mechanics here. Like I said, I understand why it's there. I'm just not a huge fan of the difficulty number being set for like the entire room or the entire area or the entire scene that you're playing out. And then you can adjust either something being easy because two characters are helping out, or because of equipment that somebody has, or maybe an ability that they have, or making it hard because of, negative things that might be taking place. I don't know. There's something about it. Just, I would have different difficulty numbers, but at least we get the easy and hard. So it's not just, okay, everything you do in this room is a 15. So things are getting pretty serious. That's kind of, the only knock I've got on the system. As far as advancement for characters, there are the milestones. So you don't really have experience points. So you're not tracking that. I do like the advancement, but I feel the advancement for the characters could use a bit more to it. Because you're usually just picking some new power that you have available to you. And I mean, to be honest, I would like to see the settings that are included in this Master Edition get more content at some point, like the Elfheim or Warp Shell, Vigilante City, so on and so forth. Because I really do think that this is an excellent game for people who are A, new to role-playing games, or B, do not want to get bogged down in too many rules. And there are a lot of people who fit into A and B. So I definitely think this is an excellent book, even if I wouldn't run it as written, which is no knock, because every role-playing game I talk about, even Call of Cthulhu, which I have run for decades, I don't run Call of Cthulhu as written. So it's just, I tweak things. But if you're looking to introduce somebody to role-playing games, some younger kids, some coworkers, you can do no wrong picking up ICRPG. It's a fun read. That's important as well. It is a fast read too. I was surprised how quickly I knocked this book out. So, and loads of random tables. If you're a big fan of random tables, this is for you as well, because there's all different loot and things like that. If you were looking to run, say, an old school Renaissance flavored role-playing game, this works as well for that too, because I mention this from time to time. As far as like my fantasy role-playing games, or actually any role-playing game, when characters find something, some piece of gear, some magic item, what have you, I prefer to actually not just give a bonus, right? Oh, it's +1 to damage. What? I always like to have like some personality to the magic items. One of my favorite magic items comes from an adventure, and off the top of my head, it is an OSR adventure, and I can't remember the title of it, but it's a sword. And the sword cannot lie, and it can detect when someone's lying. But problem is that if you wield the sword, you can't lie either. And it's actually like it's on the wall when the characters see it, and it says, "Help, I'm trapped." And it's trapped. There's a trap. So once again, sword can't lie. So, but like I say, you know, something that's got a benefit to it, and then maybe something not so great. The Madman says he never runs anything as written. The players make decisions that take the story completely off the rails, and they run with it. And he gets them back on track, but it's seamless. When I talk about I don't run something as written, I mean the core rules. Adventures, I got to be honest, I think I probably run adventures closer to as written than the rule systems. So Primo says they've read an add-on to Genesis that added narrative die to magic items as well. It's very cool. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Genesis system, which I know powers the Star Wars RPG and things like that. Anyway, wrapping up on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Index Card Role-Playing Game Master Edition a 9 out of 10. I think it is that good. Oh, it got so close to a 9.5. But like I said, there's some things about it that I wouldn't run as written. So for some people, this may be a 10 out of 10. Your mileage may vary. But also want to point out, those of you who like really crunchy rules, you might pick this up for the inspiration and some of the tips and tricks in here and not necessarily run the system itself. And I got to say, that soft cover with PDF for $16.50 over at DriveThruRPG right now, personally, I think that is a steal. All right, so there you have it. Next week should be a Monday show. If I'm back from San Diego, there will be a Monday show, a Tuesday show, and a Wednesday show. And it is going to be Hyperborea Week as we dive in and take first looks at the 3rd edition of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, or otherwise now known as Hyperborea. So that'll be all next week. Player's Manual, Referee's Manual, and then we'll double dip with the Atlas and the first adventure, the Late Trapper's Lament. Jesus says that he DMs for his kids under 10 and understands that his only job is to provide places, foes, and some sort of storyline, and they'll take care of everything else. Clint says the magic items that he gives out is for a purpose to the story, and you have to use it right. You know, I don't necessarily hate just generic magic items like, you know, everybody's got to have some +1 chainmail and things like that. That's okay. I don't expect everything to have some sort of, you know, additional benefits and negatives. But usually what I would do is if it's, say, like a +1 shield, it's not necessarily always going to be magic. It might just be a really well-made shield. So there's that. All right. That's it for tonight's show. Of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Because not only will you be informed when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. I'll also notify you when I upload other videos, such as my first look at Dungeons & Dragons campaign case creatures from Wizards of the Coast. And don't forget, you have until noon Central Time tomorrow to get into the running to win this copy of Dungeons & Dragons Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. I said circle earlier. Got it right this time. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to have some San Diego Comic-Con video as well. Should point out with the round tables, I'm not on screen. Nobody's on screen except for the talent or producers or writers, what have you. So you won't see me in every video, which is probably a good thing. All right. Those of you who are watching live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat, big bonus experience points for you there. I always appreciate people taking time out to jump into chat and keep me company and keep each other company as well. Of course, I know a lot of people, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter. You can watch live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you giving a view to the videos. I think we're 2 subscribers away from 7,500 subscribers, so that's pretty cool as well. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will be careful at Comic-Con. Don't worry. I'm too old to be acting crazy. Might have a few cocktails with dinner, but, you know, that's about it. So here's hoping all of you have a great week, great weekend, and fingers crossed, I will be back on Monday and we will dive on into Hyperborea. And of course, as always, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.